One. What's up, everyone? This is Sifu Amin Johnny from EnergyCultivation.com, and I'm here with Mark Cohen. He's just written a brand new book, and he's got a lot of YouTubes out there that I'll be sharing with you guys and sharing his links. And there's a conference coming out, a whole bunch of great stuff he's doing right now. So, Mark, what would you like to tell us that's the most current thing you got going on right now that we need to be aware of?
Well, besides the book, I'm doing really well on Amazon and people finding it very, very helpful and insightful for their practice. We have the webinar coming on June 23rd. It's being sponsored by a fellow by the name of Fernando Bernal, who is a doctor of Oriental medicine, but also a national and international push hands champion.
Wow.
And what it is that people will come and register, and then there'll be recording available for people afterwards as well. And the website is nategiatoday.com, but perhaps you can put that up in writing so people will know how it's spelled.
Wow, well that's awesome and excellent. So let me ask you, like I know our listeners, there's going to be a lot of people who are familiar with martial arts, but a few who are new into this. So what can you give us a quick background of what you do or what your background is or where who you are?
Okay, sure, okay. I started my background in 1967, where I began to learn a Taoist form of standing when I was still a teenager, in my late teens, attending college. After that, I studied at the dojo of Mr. Oshima, and Mr. Oshima was the senior disciple of Gishin Funakoshi, who is the founder of Shotokan Karate. And
Wow.
after that, I studied with uh, Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Jubong Lee, who is was the 36th generation Grandmaster of the Hwarang Do system.
No, that's
It was the
amazing.
Korean system, martial art, healing art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
365 hand techniques, 108 kicks, 108 weapons, all kinds of things like that. It was very
You're a deadly man there.
yeah, well, this is where I first began to really see the power and the ability of people who had developed their internal power. Because these people could, Grandmaster Lee could take somebody in a joint lock and flip them out 20 feet,
Wow.
and then they would land.
And you have a lot of internal power. We can see that in your videos that are out there, and it's pretty impressive. I gotta say it's very like you have a lot of good form to your energies, and that's something that a lot of these guys that are out there need to actually be looking for, some kind of good form. So didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's very, yeah, your internal energy is amazing.
Okay, so let me finish just briefly then to the rest of the lineage, so that you'll have the whole lineage, and then we'll address your question there, because this is where Zanzhuang came in, at least in my life. I had done a whole bunch of different things and trained in hard styles and soft styles, including Yichuan. I have lineage in that. I have lineage in Yang and Wu style Tai Chi, old Yang Tai Chi, and also a seventh generation lineage from my teacher, Dr. Kuai Wan, deceased, a seventh generation lineage in Chinese medicine. So, in answer to your question, uh, I spent many, many years trying to find some person who would teach the truth, so to speak, teach what was actually there and with nothing held back. But for many reasons, it was very difficult. People, some people knew and wouldn't tell, and some people just didn't know the whole thing and pretended that they did. So after a long period of time, I was able to find a teacher and then several others that were able to teach and willing to teach the whole thing. And so once I had learned that, uh, my practice began to grow. But because of some injuries that I'd had training Hwarang Do, which was with training the military and special forces and the Marines, uh, I could no longer kick and do a lot of jumping things that I was able to do when I was younger. So when I re-encountered Zanzhuang, standing meditation, this is when it all began to change for me. I began to heal in a way that none of these other things were able to do. They were all able to help to some degree, but it was only after doing extensive standing meditation that I began to be able to work with power again, actual physical power. And so I have taken that on. I've been doing this like a long, long time now. And you have ups and downs in the growth, kind of like out here they would use an example of a palm tree where it's wider at the base, then it gets a little narrower, and sometimes it gets wider. And this is like our growth. We practice and we keep going steady day by day. Some days we feel real expansion, other days we don't feel much. But if we go and keep going, another analogy is like adding a piece of tissue paper each day for your practice. And after a couple of days, you only have a very thin pile. But after many years, your pile is up to the high ceiling of the roof. And at that point, you have, it's like a samurai sword being turned and worked on, 400 or 500 times the steel so that it would become very strong. So you're able to work with certain basics and revisit them again and again at higher and higher levels. And as you're able to do that, more and more of your body integrates. But the holy grail of internal martial arts, I would say, is Sung, the relaxed interconnection of the mind, emotions, and body, and the subtle bodies, as well as skin, muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, organs, glands, all that working together as one. And this is this development which occurs as we begin to unify the body, and I do that primarily through the standing meditation, which seems to be the fastest way to do it. Before I did standing meditation, I had certain abilities, and I had worked hard for them. But after a while, once I had done enough standing and had a couple of breakthroughs, all of a sudden, what was in the classics, not only did I understand more of it, but I could actually do it. Could actually do it, and it spontaneously arose in the body. Okay,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
and it was after that, with a lot of standing, that I was able to affect a much more full healing and be able to live a much more normal life in terms of being able to get around and work with martial arts and things like that.
That's amazing, and I can testify for everything he just said from that experience that he has. I was fortunate enough to. You're wondering why I'm interviewing Mark right now? Is I've actually had the pleasure and honor of talking to him on the phone. I was seeking someone to help me, overcome some injuries I've had from energy work, and somehow the universe has brought me to Mark, and Mark had an open heart, and he gave me his time, and he shared some of these techniques with me, and I started doing the standing meditation, and it not only helped me heal a lot more, where I could get myself back. I mean, obviously something you gotta practice, every day, and you gotta give it some time, but I did it, and I gave it the time, and I saw results. I was able to get back to my job, doing my work properly, and being able to communicate with my relationships better in my life, and feeling more comfortable with myself when I was just alone. And on top of that, it really helped actually with my Tai Chi abilities. Now, I didn't start off being able to do Tai Chi so much, but I was able to do like telekinesis and stuff like that, or movement of energy with objects more than people. And somehow it all became unified after that standing meditation process, and my bone density even got better. I mean, my ligaments and tendons all seem to go into place. The whole body came aligned with it. So I'm going to just testify for what he was talking about. Some real deep stuff there, you guys. And I'm still learning myself, but he knows a lot. So,
well, and if I could interrupt you for a second,
yes,
just to say an interesting story, because you mentioned bone density. There was a very famous teacher by the name of Ma Yue Liang, who was a lineage man from the Wu style. He actually married Wu's daughter. He's passed many years ago now. But they once took an X-ray of him in his 90s of his hip, and the doctor said it looked like a person of his 50s.
Wow.
So this is the man that's been doing Tai Chi, very, very seriously all his life.
Mm-hmm.
But we were just saying, so the bone density, the joints, and everything, all these practices prolong the proper functioning and delay the onset of what people call aging.
Definitely, it does. It really helps you ground, or root, whatever you want to call that, and center yourself, and then not only that, align yourself And that allows the body to open up and flow freely, if I'm correct. But you know, it's very profound in its practice. Wuji, almost. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Mark, what I'm going to do is let the viewers know how to find you. You had a conference coming up, you said, soon?
Yes, we have the Wuji, I mean the Inside Zhanzhuang Questions and Answers webinar. This is just going to be a special one-time event on June 23rd. You can refer them to my Facebook page or to the website itself, and they can check it out. Your people, and then we'll be answering questions. And these particular webinars are known for going into great detail about these internal processes, so people can really get something out of listening, and of course because asking questions as well.
All right, that sounds great. So let's wrap it up right there. Thank you, Mark, for your time, and bless you, and we'll see you on the other side, brother.
Okay, thank you, Sifu Amin.
Thank
you
you
so much.
All right.